Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. Today, I am absolutely delighted to be joined by a man who brought sparkle, spectacle, and incredible musicianship to stages around the world. Please welcome the one and only Liberace. Mr. Liberace, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you feeling?
Thanks, Calvin.
It is our pleasure. For those who may somehow not know who you are, who are you?
Well, I'm Liberace. Just one name, like a painting or a jewel. I was a pianist and an entertainer, best known for my love of the grand stage, my elaborate costumes, and, of course, the candelabra sitting right there on my piano. I love to bring joy to people through music and just a little bit of glamour.
When and where were you born?
I was born on May 16th, 1919, in West Allis, Wisconsin.
What was your given name at birth?
My given name was Voiju Valentino Liberace. Voiju, though, most people just called me Lee.
Is there a story behind your birth name?
Well, my middle name, Valentino, was given to me because my mother had such a deep interest in show business and the actors of the time. I suppose it was a bit of a foreshadowing of the spotlight, wouldn't you say? And interestingly enough, I was born with a caul. That's a piece of birth membrane, which folks back then liked to say was an omen that I was destined for something special.
What was your hometown like growing up?
West Allis was a modest place, quite different from the glitter of Las Vegas, where I spent so much of my later life. It was a hard-working community. It provided a simple, grounded backdrop for a boy who was dreaming in Technicolor.
What was your family life like?
Music was always part of the air we breathed at home. My father was a musician. He played in John Philip Sousa's concert band. And my brother George was a talented violinist. We had our struggles, certainly, but music was our common language.
What kind of kid were you?
I was a kid who lived for the keys. I began playing the piano at age 4. And by 7, I was memorizing difficult pieces. I was sensitive and deeply imaginative, always looking for beauty in things.
What were your biggest fears growing up?
Oh, I suppose like any child, I feared not being understood or not being able to express the music I felt inside. But mostly, I was just so focused on playing that I didn't let fear take up much room.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
A concert pianist, through and through. I wanted to play the music I loved for as many people as possible.
What were some of your favorite activities in school?
Outside of the music room, I kept quite busy. Though music was always the priority, I suppose I was just a boy trying to find his rhythm.
What was your first job?
I started playing professionally when I was still quite young. I appeared as a soloist with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra when I was just 16. That was quite a thrill for a boy from Wisconsin.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
When I looked at a piano, I didn't just see a set of keys. I saw a way to transport people. I realized that my approach, blending classical techniques with a bit of showmanship, wasn't exactly what the traditionalists were doing, but it was what I was doing, and that felt right.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Deciding to not just play the music, but to put on a show. It was a small shift in philosophy, but it changed everything. I realized that an audience wants an experience, not just a performance.
What was your biggest break?
It wasn't one single moment, but rather the decision to take my act to television. Once I was in people's living rooms, everything changed. I had a program that, for a time, had a larger following than some of the most popular shows of the day.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
Financially, things were very difficult for us in the early years. My father was a man of great talent, but, like many, faced immense pressures. Learning to forge my own path, separate from the traditional expectations of the classical world, was a journey in itself.
Did you ever consider quitting?
Never. Music was the one thing that kept me going, no matter what hurdles were in front of me.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
I can't imagine a life without music, Calvin. I think I would have been a musician regardless of fame. Perhaps I would have just been a local piano teacher, sharing the joy of music with children.
What was your life like before fame?
It was full of hard work, long hours of practice, and the constant desire to prove that I had something unique to offer.
How did relationships change after success?
Success brings everyone a little closer, doesn't it? You find out quickly who is truly in your corner. But it also allowed me to surround myself with the people I loved and care for my family, which was one of my greatest joys.
Did fame bring happiness?
Fame allowed me to live a life I could have only dreamed of as a child in Wisconsin. It brought me the opportunity to perform, to create beauty, and to share that with audiences. That was happiness enough for me.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
The lack of privacy, I suppose. When you live your life on stage, people feel they own a piece of you. But I always chose to focus on the fans who truly loved the music.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
People often saw the costumes and the candelabra and thought that was all there was. They underestimated the hard work and the technical training that went into every note I played.
What was your darkest moment?
There were moments, certainly, where the critics were quite harsh. When you put yourself out there, you leave yourself vulnerable to being misunderstood. But I always turned back to the piano.
What past regrets did you carry that you spoke about?
I prefer to focus on the joy I was able to bring. Life is too short to dwell on the regrets.
What's something people misunderstood about your life?
That my stage persona was a mask. It wasn't a mask, it was a celebration. It was the side of me that wanted to be larger than life because the music deserved that kind of stage.
Tell me about a time when everything went wrong and how did you handle it?
There were plenty of times when a show didn't go as planned, or a tour hit a snag. The key is to keep smiling and keep playing. The show must go on after all.
Did fame and fortune change your life?
They changed the scenery for sure. I was able to live in beautiful homes and travel the world, but deep down I was still the same boy from Wisconsin who loved to play the piano.
What personal battles were you fighting privately?
We all have our private battles, Calvin. I found that if I could get to that piano, the world felt a little bit brighter.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My mother. She always encouraged my love for show business and supported my dreams from the very beginning.
What was life like in your final years?
I continued to perform as long as I could. I loved the stage too much to ever really walk away from it.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was still performing, still looking for new ways to delight my audiences. I wanted to keep the music playing until the very last note.
When and where and how did you pass away, and how old were you?
I passed away in February 1987 at my home in Palm Springs, California. I was 67 years old.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I loved soap operas. I found them absolutely fascinating.
What's the craziest rumor ever told about you?
Oh my goodness, the tabloids and the gossip columns always had something to say. I learned very early on that you just have to laugh at those things. If you tried to address every rumor, you'd never have time to play the piano.
What was your most unique habit?
I suppose my love for elaborate costumes, the feathers, the rhinestones, could be considered a habit. But I saw it as essential. If you're going to perform, you should look the part.
What was your favorite food?
I had such a love for good food. I even wrote a cookbook, Liberace Cooks. I loved preparing meals for friends.
Did you have a favorite restaurant?
I loved many places, but truly, the best meals were the ones prepared at home, with friends.
What was your favorite book?
I wrote my own life story, which was a special experience, but I always found inspiration in books that celebrated the magic of life.
Did you have any known rivalries?
I think that was mostly created by the press. I was too busy focused on my own performance to worry about anyone else's.
Tell us a story nobody talks about.
I once found a stray dog when I was traveling, and I couldn't bear to leave it behind. I ended up bringing it home, and it became a cherished companion for years. People see the glitter and the showman, but they don't always see the soft spot I had for animals.
What's your funniest behind-the-scenes moment?
Oh, there were so many. Once, during a show, a piece of my elaborate costume got caught on the piano lid. I had to improvise and play an entire section of a concerto while standing up. It was a disaster, But the audience thought it was part of the choreography, so we all had a good laugh about it afterward.
Did you ever prank someone?
I loved a good joke. I found that laughter is just as important as music.
What was the most outlandish purchase you made?
Let's just say I never saw a rhinestone I didn't like. I loved bringing beauty into the world, and if that meant a little extra sparkle, then so be it.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Be yourself, wholeheartedly. Don't worry about what the critics say. If you love what you do and you put your heart into it, that passion will shine through brighter than any stage light.
Mr. Liberace, those were wonderful stories. Do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with our listeners before we sign off?
I've had such a marvelous time, Calvin. It's been a pleasure to look back on a life filled with music and joy. My only hope is that everyone listening finds something they love just as much as I love the piano. Thank you for having me. It's been truly spectacular.
Thank you so much for being here, Liberace. It was an absolute honor to host you. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.